But when we operate in love, we take action.
Because if I can do it, I promise you any of you can do it. There's no question about that.
If you want your present to be better, your future has to be bigger. What is happening, Honey Badger Nation, man? Happy Tuesday. What's up, fellas?
What's happening?
Hello.
Hello. Man, nice to be back together. I will definitely say that. It's been a few weeks that we've all been together, so good stuff. I know we've had a lot happen over the last couple of weeks. You guys were off in Nashville. I know they had a couple other sprints going on, and man, maybe let's kind of open up things while we while folks are jumping in and kind of share some nuggets and some takeaways that you guys had out of Nashville.
Did you say there were other sprints? Because I'm only aware of one sprint. That was the Central Sprint.
And I'm pretty sure they're aware of that as well.
Yeah.
Whew, I was literally right before we went live here going through my bar bills. Woo.
Yeah, I noticed the same. Yeah.
And you know what? You know, Nashville, what the weather was probably getting was how was the weather? Was it nice?
It was a little chilly in the evenings, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I was there.
Light
I was there earlier, right? It was freezing cold the last time I was there, and then obviously going down to see Coach Bird, it rained the whole time. So definitely glad you guys had some nice weather. So yeah, let's share with some, you know, kind of some of what those big nuggets, those big takeaways were. And I know we talked with our Honey Badger leaders yesterday, kind of the theme. It's kind of crazy, you know, events tend to have a theme on their own. Even if you intentionally try to push an agenda, no matter what, they always form their own theme. And that's what we saw with our masterminds over the years, is that we would always walk away and like, man, did you feel that? Right. You know, the whole theme, the room really rallied around that theme. And so, I would love for you guys to maybe share some nuggets or some big key takeaways.
Yeah, Jay, I don't know about you. I think that the theme was community. Yeah. I mean, it just kept coming up over and over, speaker after speaker that was up there talking about winning in the game of agent attraction. The biggest winners are building amazing communities around them, online and physically. And so, you know, I think it was one of those things where, you know, when you learn a lesson, you know, years ago and it keeps popping up. And then it just really was confirmation for me anyway, was that, we're kind of moving in the right direction. So it was more of a confirmation on how important this community, Honey Badger Nation, really is, more than anything. And so, yeah, you know, it was confirmation that we got to keep pouring in. Jay, what about you?
I would agree with that. I think, if you're wanting to focus on agent attraction, and it comes down to what we've been saying all along, you got to genuinely want to help somebody with their business in order for them to want to come partner with all of us. They're our opportunity, but they're also our responsibility. And, in order to do that, you got to bring them on, you got to onboard them in a certain way. And you got to get them engaged in the groups and all the things that we have going on. And then, it's your responsibility to find those that, that need help with production and align them to the things that we have available to them. And then, also I think it's important to find the ones that are interested in agent attraction and get them plugged into the training, the app, all of those things as well. And so, it always comes up, and, we've seen some people do a really, really good job of it. But in order to really grow, I've not seen anyone yet. Maybe it's possible, but I would say the people that have grown the larger groups, from 100, to 1,000 and beyond for certain, all have a sense of community that they've built. And now I will say that the threat to that is you don't go build your own silo and disconnect from the company or from the main group, Honey Badger Nation, or any other group you might be a part of as well. You want to plug them into all of those things, but then it's a on the ground, boots on the ground level. It's really about community and creating little systems for where you guys are getting together and there's connection and things of that happening all the time.
Yeah, I love that. I think keeping them plugged in, like you said, on the 30,000 foot view, the 10,000, and then on the ground is a great way to look at it, right? Just as like what we would utilize those tools when we were working with buyers and sellers, right? We would keep the high level 30,000 foot view with keeping current matters. That's where we need to keep them plugged in with EXP, keep them plugged in what's going on in the industry. Then we would go to our real market reports, which would bring it to about a 5,000, 10,000 foot view of an area. And I think that's Honey Badger Nation can be that, right? How many countries are we in, Honey Badger Nation in? And then I think that's where you can bring it to boots on the ground, where we would use Focus First to get down in the weeds. And I think that's where you can bring it into your local community, doing the local events, to where you can have the connections, right? You can have the collisions. And it's what we always talk about too, guys, is that, marketing is about getting and keeping clients and customers. And that's where we have to look at it as like you said, our responsibility. Yes, we want to go get them, but we also got to be thinking about how we're building the retention value, how we're pouring more into them, how we're helping them overcome what it is that they're trying to wrestle with, whatever it is. And for most of the time, most of the agents that we bring in, you guys might have the updated statistic. I mean, how many agents have actually recruited more than 5 agents at the company? So it's a large percentage are focused on production. So I think that's where you can really help them on the ground level, is helping them, wrestle with what's going on in their market. What are they struggling with, right? Do they have a good plan? Are they creating enough demand, right? What are the things that you can help them with to manage cash flow so that, they're not paralyzed? Because how many agents have we helped over the years that, when they're so fixated on like, where's my next commission deal, they almost become paralyzed. They don't know what to do. So being able to provide that resource, I think on a ground level is huge.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. If you're focused on agent attraction and you don't know what all things that you can plug people into within our group, first of all, there's no real teeth in your offer. The value isn't just EXP. It's the partnership, and it's all the additional things that they get access to. And they have to know those things. And I think a lot of times those things get kind of left out, and you get somebody excited to come over, but they're not really getting in, plugged into training that can really make a difference. And so knowing that it's pinned to the top of this group, and that's where you go to get information, making sure that, you're clear on what their goals are related to the future and the freedom goal, which is agent attraction. And then also what, their production goals are and what the biggest rock in their shoe. It's true. It's genuinely, what we built our entire careers around, which is, adding value to people's lives and focusing on really trying to deliver on that. If you do that, you're going to attract people. You're going to have testimonials of people that are, happy. You're going to retain people. It's just, that's got to be the focus. If otherwise you're playing the short game.
Well said. Absolutely. Yeah. And, the power, I think the real power within the Honey Badger Nation is the connections and the relationships. We've said this for the last 3+ years. We've been here going on 5, but really what we started to see it is, and I always tell this to other people as well, is like, you won't realize, but the real value is the community and the connections and the people. And, being able to understand that you may have came from an environment that doesn't allow for collaboration, but it's the exact opposite here. And, if you don't ASK, you don't GET, and you've got to know kind of, one, be problem aware. What are you wrestling with? And there are so many amazing entrepreneur, real estate professional leaders, within the Honey Badger Nation that like if you're stuck somewhere, it's just because you haven't reached out to get unstuck.
Yeah. I went and grabbed my book from the sprint because I took some notes in there. And you know, we've said from all the way back that, you know, especially when it comes to like team leaders and brokers, that you got to do the math, got to do the math. But there's a subset of agents, and it's a large subset of agents that it's not about solving the math problem for them. It's about building a community. You know, they want to be part of something. The cool thing is they can plug into what we're doing right now. For some people like us, it's about the math. And then if there's a check in the box with the math, then we'll build the community. But for some people, it's the opposite. And the cool thing is that we can check that box with not just obviously Honey Badger Nation, but even the subgroups. But a couple other things I wrote down. The day you plant the seed isn't the day that you pick the fruit. I just thought that was great. And Jay and Ashley Nelson, I absolutely love those two human beings. They're like so good. And they went up and spoke. And I only wrote one word down, Jay. All right. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
One word. What did it say?
Fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Remember when we used to have fun? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
we still have fun.
I think I've got a pretty good record of that.
We do. It was a core value. We made it. You know, we made it one of our values. It is our value. But the way that Jay and Ashley, you know, build community is to just having fun, period. They put that out in front of everything else. And, you know, we used to say, if it ain't fun, we're not interested in doing it. And it was just another good reminder of the path that we've been on. But I love the way what they do in pouring into their community and pouring into their people, and you know, even putting up the post when when someone joins and sells their first house, or, you know, if they cap or hit, you know, they're hitting on the right cylinders and stuff like that. So it was good takeaways on not just, you know, saying, okay, build a community, but how do you build a community? And back in the day, before I met Mike and Jay, I was following Brian Buffini around, and one of the things he used to always say is party your way to the top. I always loved that. Party your way to the top.
I love it.
That's great.
That is great.
He's you know, an old Irish boy, and knows a thing or two about partying. So
I never heard him say that, but that's some good advice. So I like it.
Yeah.
You know the thing too, and what we're talking about here, just so we can give everybody some real context around this, is building communities built around your values. So what we're talking about is one of our core values is fun. And you know, you've got to build that around the values, and then you surround yourself with people that align to those values, believe what you believe, right? That's really what our values are. It's our belief system, our shoulds, our should nots, how we act, and the habits that we build. And it's just surrounding yourself with that. And that's why, you know, when we talk about our core values, and then you look at the Honey Badger Nation, you're like, got it. It all makes sense, right? And so I think when somebody's looking, okay, hey, you know, I love it, I want to plug in, I'm part of the Honey Badger Nation, how can I bring it to a local level? You got to build it with like-minded people that believe what you believe.
87 Kevin says, I'm trying. Yeah, we know you don't know how to have any fun.
He has no idea how to fun.
He is the poster child for fun, no doubt.
Yes, he is. All right, guys. So we're getting some nuggets from Cuz and Albie from the sprint last week. But if you have any questions or comments or anything that's on your mind, please throw them in here into the comments, and we will answer them. That's really what this time is about. You know, we can be here for your entertainment value, but we would like to also be here to you know, a little education, a little awareness, and maybe help you guys get unstuck so you can move a little bit faster.
Yep. Interrupt me if someone pops in with a question. Michael Valdez spoke at the sprint too, and he talked about this is just a good nugget, little writer downers that you could put on sticky notes or wherever you work and when you're talking to people. And I wrote this down. Why did a 300 agent Remax office decide to bring all 300 agents over to EXP? And this was the guy from India who he owned that franchise, and he said that he was the one that said that EXP's model was built for humanity, and that's why they all came. And that's a big deal. A 300 agent office. They're beyond excited internationally in these other countries.
Speaking of those countries, cause I haven't even told you. So Rodolfo and Nuno in Portugal, I talked with Rodolfo last Friday. He said, number one for units and number one for production last month for EXP in Portugal. I know we're just getting started growing over there.
Yeah,
these are like brand new agents, brand new guys, and like the process, what EXP offers, what Honey Badger Nation offers, and like they're just trusting and following the process. Like they ran a guarantee offer over there, like something that we've done for decades. Yep. And it's like the little things that they're taking and applying is changing their lives. I mean, it's absolutely changing their lives, and it's just so cool to hear those stories. And we're just going to keep hearing more and more of them as we continue to grow.
I love it.
That is awesome.
So how do you approach someone you know well and someone you've met once? So kind of how is there a difference? Like how do you take that approach talking to an agent about seeing if they're open to the opportunity?
Yeah, so my first answer to this is always, have you been through the training? Because the entire process is laid out and the scripts and dialogues downloadable. You can search within Honey Badger Group, look in the files. There's several different scripts that are all pretty similar that have worked really well. So I would say this default, go back to the process, learn the process. If you're not using the Rapid Funnel app, go to the training for Rapid Funnel and, get the app because it's sharing, the process is get them excited and interested enough to watch a video. And the reason that's the process is because this is an educate and inform process. You don't move to EXP because you want to change brokerages. They have to understand all that it means. There's so much that's so different. They have to understand all of that before they're ever going to consider moving to EXP. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to change brokerages. Maybe 0.01% of people that are out there are just pissed off and want to leave their brokerage. So most people, when you approach them, are not going to be in the mindset of I'm looking for another broker. And so you have to approach them where they're at. And the best way to do that is to understand that they don't understand rev share. They don't understand the stock. They don't understand, all the technology. They don't understand, most importantly, they don't understand partnering with us. They don't understand what that means. And they don't understand what the collaboration means. They don't understand any of those things. And so we built a system based on a proven repeatable system based on market research that gets you results when it comes to inviting them to take a look at something. And so that, the process is invite to a live video or live presentation or a live event, in which we do on Thursdays. We do a live event, 1 o'clock Central Time, onebigfire.com. Invite to watch a video, which is done through the Rapid Funnel app, or invite to a live event that maybe is one of the events that we're holding or one of them that's being held by EXP. So it's invitation, but I think the approach, which is your question, is if it's somebody that and trust you, the approach is a lot easier. You can approach it 1 or 2 or 3 ways. I think if you go to agentattractiontraining.com, you go through that training and you'll see, or if you look up 8-step, I can't remember what I named that document, but it's 8-step something invitation script that's in the Honey Badger Group. If you go through and read, there's different ways that you approach people that are at different levels. If it's somebody and they're above you in terms of production, or if they're at the same level as you, or if they're below you in terms of production, there's different ways that you would approach each of those types of subsets of different folks that you might talk to. So if it's somebody that maybe is above the level of production that you're at, then you ask for their advice and their opinion. So give them a sincere compliment. Hey, I really appreciate you over the years, and I've always appreciated how you do business. I've decided to make a change in my business. And I'd love for you to take a look at it, who I've partnered with, and just take a look at it and give me your feedback. If I was to send you this video, would you, be willing to take a look at it? A person that already you have a relationship with is going to feel flattered and honored to probably do that for you, and you've got a really good chance that they're gonna say yes, and that they're gonna actually look at the video. In the process, this is how Al got me, basically. So I know it works, right? So like the lens that they're looking at it through is, this guy's not trying to recruit me. He's just looking for feedback on who he's partnered with. He's not asking me to do it, and he's not saying, spewing EXP all over me, right? And so, that's the, the easiest approach. And I think you do that with anybody at any level, and it's going to get probably the best result of anything you can do. So that's my answer to that. I know you guys could both add some color to that if you want.
No, it was a great answer. The only thing that I wanted to add is a story. And I think that this will help anybody that's listening to this right now that has, because I think it was, I don't know who the person was because their name's not coming up, but how do you approach somebody? Well, I believe the reason you're not approaching people is there's fear. That's really it. Your fear that they're going to say, what? No, I've already talked to so-and-so. That's a very, I think, dangerous assumption to make. And another thing, this has been brought up in several masterminds and several rooms with people who have really good relationships with high producing or higher producing agents in their marketplace, and they never approached them and asked them, if they had any questions or whatever about, EXP. They came back and said they were pissed at them that they never came to them. They took it the wrong way. They took it like that why didn't you tell me about it? Right. And that was something that I've heard it like 3 or 4 times. I heard it again in Nashville at the sprint that it happened to somebody. And I wrote it down, is that I'm calling every person that I know that I respect and that I think is a great business person that that I already have relationships with, which are a lot. I can tell you, I'll fall on my sword right now and tell you that there's a huge list of people that I've never I've never approached about it. And they might be pissed. They might be thinking, well, why is Al talking to Darren? And why is Al talking to Cindy? And he never picked up the phone. Well, the truth of it was I never picked up the phone and called Darren or Cindy. It was through attraction efforts that they called me. But that just really kind of lit a fire, is that, I need to connect with those relationships. And that is my goal. Like, I'm going to be connecting with them. And I'm not going to go and connect with them and talk about like what Jay was saying. I'm not going to, what did Mike used to say? Keep your powder dry, keep your powder dry. And I'm going to keep it dry because they eventually will always bring it up. You don't even have to bring it up to them. So when you talk about approaching, the approach should be very genuine. It should be curious. And what are you curious about? Them. Because it's all about them. They care about me, myself, and I. That's so the whole thing is about them. And it'll eventually come out, and they're going to ask you, and then you can have a lot easier conversation.
Absolutely. And I was going through something with Ryan Dice, and he had, kind of on the consultative approach, his question is always, how's business? And then it's, hey, are things firing on all cylinders, or would you like to go a little faster? That was that's always his kind of his business question, because in the way he explains it is that if you're slow, you want to go fast. If you're fast, you want to go faster. And it's just a good question to get them kind of opening up on, man, I'd like to go a little bit faster. I'm getting drugged down here. And so it gets them, kind of, it's just a little bit better question to get them kind of where they're at in their business. So it was good. I thought that was just a really good open to be able to get people kind of thinking about and talking about where they're at with their business.
That's awesome. So it's a 2-step question. How's business? And then are you firing on all cylinders, or do you want to go bigger?
Yeah. Would you like to go a little faster?
Go a little faster. Love it.
Yeah.
Great.
Keep your head down and your powder dry. Yep. Don't ever assume. What's up, James? So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, thoughts, ideas, kind of perspectives, you're challenged somewhere, you're stuck, throw it in the comments. Would love to help you guys unpack anything and everything, and keep things rolling. So I know we've got I guess June's coming up fast. It's funny to even say that, but we've got shareholders on the radar coming up. So I know everybody's trying to gear up, make sure we've got that. Anything else kind of on the radar that folks need to be looking at from event perspective, things that, and I know Al, you and I've got Mr. Al Stasek on the Expert Mentors with us tomorrow. We're going to be talking about concepts and connection, and doing that through events. And so any thoughts, you guys, events and just coming out of one, and what to be thinking about going into events in the future?
When you said that, the first thing that came to mind was, a couple of conversations I had after our leadership call yesterday. And, the thing that, when you get to a certain level, I really feel like, these should be more formalized. And I think we maybe have formalized them to a certain degree, but even in my mind, I'm like, okay, it's kind of like if you're at 25 to 50, between 25 and 100 agents in your group, there's a point at which doing events will become the biggest lever, right? And we've been talking about different things that people need, and I'd love to hear y'all's feedback on this, because this is kind of formed in a little bit of a question as to what would help you the most wherever you are at, whether you're below those numbers or above. But there are some people that you move through your whole list of people that know, like, and trust you, and then it's now what? And having a script or data of the right agents to call with the right message. There's LinkedIn and leveraging those same conversations through automation that are ways to create new conversations. But essentially, you're adding people to your met list of people that now know you. And so there is a formula, and we're working on this. Actually, DJ and Matt, I talked with them yesterday. Appreciate their help too. That if you're good on the phone, you can have a certain number of conversations that lead to a certain number of people that say yes to an opportunity, to a certain number that watch a video, to a certain number that'll get on a three-way call, to a certain number of agents that'll partner with us at EXP. It is a labor. That's an effort metric, as Mike would say, but that is one way, and it can be done. And I think having a process for that is something that I see is a necessary thing to be teaching, especially if you're in that range of 25 to 100 and you've got a few folks that really want to do this that haven't really got any traction. What are they going to say to people that they don't know? And who are they going to talk to next before they get cold and stop talking to people about it altogether? And so just, what is, the biggest lever? I believe the biggest lever is, and I think we've been kind of on this for a minute now, is events. When you can hold your own event, whether you're a masterminding and positioned as the person of interest that's putting on this event, bringing in great people that maybe aren't all EXP and being positioned in the right way, doing an event that's from a mastermind standpoint, or doing an event where you're teaching something that you're an expert at that adds value, or you have a high level of production. And this is the part that becomes a little bit challenging on who are the 100 people that we can get to 1,000. At a certain point, you have to be able to do an event, and the event is the biggest lever, because now everybody in your group can invite to something that's value add, and that's going to get you further than just than anything else. I think that what we've said and over again is big decisions happen at big events. Getting people to whatever kind of event it is, time spent with you equals trust, and it's the biggest lever for your entire group if you can start doing that at a certain point. And so we're kind of focused in on trying to help people with events and things that will help you get that leverage for your group. And if you're under those numbers, then it's identifying who that leader is in your group that could be or should be plugged into to creating these events. So that's kind of, you know, what popped off in my mind, just because it's fresh and we've been talking about it a lot. You know, there's just a tremendous amount of leverage of quality people that'll show up that wouldn't have watched the video, wouldn't have showed up any other way, that you can leverage, you know, your expertise by doing events or masterminds and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote down a couple, you know, we talk about probably the easiest event that you can do is a panel. And you know, there's the cool thing with panels is you can go in so many different directions. You know, I've never done one of these, but we had one in Nashville. And Curtis Shewell did an amazing job of being the moderator, and he did a women's panel. I mean, a women's panel is a great, that's, you know, you put a bunch of, you know, there's all different kinds of names. There's groups out there. Boss Babes is one, or, you know, leading women in real estate. And, you know, when you start theming and finding these themes, these ideas that people will be able to attach to, and they feel like that can solve a problem for them, they're going to come to the event. And if you're the person asking the questions, you're like John just said, you're positioning yourself as the authority in that room. And that carries a lot of weight. There's also this is just an idea, fastest growing agents panel. If you went out in your market and found 5 of the fastest growing agents, like maybe they were doing 5 deals one year and then they shot up to, I don't know, 40 or something the next year, fastest growing agents in the market. Like if you can kind of find that would be a fascinating, people would come to that. Who's going to come to that? Agents that want to grow are going to come to that. So you're aligning, you know, with that belief system too, based upon your concepts that you're going to come up with. So, yeah, if you haven't done one, that's the easiest one to do. Just do it. And maybe there is an easier one. You know, we were talking about just partying your way to the top, even just throwing a mixer of some kind.
Yeah.
You know, just straight up, no even training around it. Just throwing
That's a great point. That's a really, really great point. If you're excellent at throwing parties, Kevin, 87 Kevin, that might be the ticket. I mean, to be honest with you, real estate agents, they want to sell real estate, but I mean, almost every damn one of them. Like, it's a really stressful career. So, you know, like everybody has, you know, wants to let loose a little bit. And so if you can throw good parties, you could probably recruit better than any of us.
87 Kevin needs to be having a party out on the dock, out on the boat every weekend.
He is, if you watch his stories.
And if you can grab, you know, a local real good musician, you know, throw them a few bucks to have them come play like a little private thing for you, and invite agents and invite your agents and have your agents, you know, invite a friend that they co-broked with. And it's always just about bringing friends, and that event's going to have nothing to do with recruiting, but it'll have everything to do with recruiting.
Yep.
You know, and that's
good advice.
Yep. So good. Kevin's down. We know Kevin to be down for a good time.
I see your Instagram, Kevin. I see how down you get.
All right, fellas. Anybody else out there? Any other questions? Anything else on your mind? Anything that we can help you guys with? We want to make sure you guys are rocking and rolling. Here we are in the spring market. It's going to be busy over the next couple months. Kids wrapping up school, heading into summer. So just realize kind of where you're at and be intentional. Be intentional.
Thanks, Johnny. Jay.
Yep.
Cool. All right, fellas. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks,
Y'all have a great
got it.
Yeah, great Taco Tuesday. Safe travels, cuz. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Be in Texas soon.
All right. See ya.
Later.